All right, we're gonna open this, P and Z meeting, February the 2nd, 4 o'clock. Before we start, I'd like to welcome Kim. Kim Richards is our new P and Z. She's definitely adding some looks to the crowd, brings the, the beauty factor up quite a bit, so that's nice.
The two beautiful ones are down there.
Yeah. So anyway, we welcome you, Kim. Thanks for volunteering. Appreciate you jumping in and
You're welcome.
helping us. That being said, first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from December the 2nd, 2022 regular meeting, because there was no meeting in January, so I have reviewed the minutes. Everybody reviewed them. Have any questions or changes? Or
I'll move to approve.
we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, raise your hand. All right. Now we're going to move into the public hearing and consideration phase. Now, 3A, Drew?
We have a resolution to allow a conditional use permit for a utility, private or franchise on .011 acres out of the John A. Southmaid Survey, number 148. Abstract number 288, more commonly known as 2282 Bandera Highway. This is a portion of Kerrville Shriner Park. So you can see we're looking at this roughly 15 by 30 foot location in the north corner of the south portion of Kerrville Shriner Park, there on Bandera Highway. Here's the future land use plan. Obviously, this is part of the Parks and Open Space. Zoning is public and institutional, as it is part of the city park. And I know you have this in your backup, or I think you have this in your backup, but I wanted to go through their packet as well. Again, here's the location of that easement, adjacent to the existing fence on the neighbor's property, right at the intersection there of Loop 534 and Bandera Highway. This is their typical specifications, so this is not exact equipment, but just a rough idea of what they're going to have. Equipment is up to 54 inches tall, and that, again, 15 by 30 foot easement. In our case, the 15 foot will be the front. I think this bottom picture shows that. The 30 foot is the front side. Again, here's typical cabinets, what we're working with. And then there's their typical fencing. They have a note that fencing is optional. I think one of the things that we'd like for the commission to consider as we go through recommended conditions, obviously tie it to that site plan that they've provided, so we know what footprint we're working with, what kind of cabinets we're working with. Something for consideration, our recommendation is to go with the standard fencing requirements out of the zoning code.
Agree, absolutely.
Obviously, the issue is going to be chain link is not allowed because this is in that front setback area. Their standard is chain link, obviously for security reasons. That's pretty straightforward, pretty easy for them to work with. That fence, and I apologize, I meant to put a picture in here, I didn't get it in here. That fence adjacent is about a 4 foot high precast concrete fence. Looks like kind of a stone type fence. So we do have a solid fence on the northwest side of that property anyway. Not opposed to chain link, just because it is ease. We're not opposed to a solid fence, or we can just go with the standard code requirement, and it could be wrought iron with a portion solid if they choose to. That is certainly up for discussion with the commission. Parks didn't have any preference. Obviously, somewhere they have to have an access point. There will have to be a gate so they can get their equipment in and out to work on the risers. But
So before we get into the question phase, let's open the public hearing and see if anyone wants to speak on this. We'll open the public hearing at 4:04. Does anyone here wants to speak on this issue? All right, we'll close the public hearing at 4:04 and get into it. Anybody have any questions or comments as we?
I do have a question.
Yes, sir. Go to the microphone, raise your, tell us who you are, sir.
Hello, my name's Roger Smith. My mother recently passed away, and she owns a portion of land nearby the this easement.
Yes, sir.
It's the Holloman Cemetery. You can actually go back one,
Go back one. Okay.
right there, the Holloman Cemetery. We're just, we were notified because we were within 200 feet of the easement.
Yeah.
And I was just curious, is there any way this affects that portion of land?
No, sir.
I did not think so. Thank you very much.
Good. Does anybody have any, I mean, I have a few questions myself.
I have one real fast.
Go ahead.
Is that one fence already there gonna be one side of the 4?
I don't know if it's gonna be that close to it, or if they're gonna be offset there.
So I'm not sure if you're trying to say that that's already there, maybe they could match it by doing the other 3.
Like I said, I don't know if the exact location's gonna be right on that property line, or if they're gonna wanna share that fence since they won't control that fence.
Whose fence is that, Drew?
That is the adjacent property.
And who is that? Is that the restaurant there?
Brew Dogs.
Okay.
Like I said, it's been a while since I've checked the owners, but
Oh, it's,
is Lewis Howard still on it?
So that fence really,
I'm going to assume that HCTC is gonna fence all 4 sides of their easement.
that's.
That way they control it.
Yeah,
even
and
if it
I-
is
and I agree with
adjacent.
that, because if one day that fence was taken down, then they would,
Right.
I mean, my comment is it definitely needs to be fenced. I don't think there should be an option, because we talked about before with this, the easement given to them, is an easement, but if something was to happen over there, some kids would go over there and climb up on that and play on it or something like that, get hurt, fall off of it.
Yeah, obviously council's gonna be looking at the
Sure.
easement, transaction separately from the conditional use permit. This is just about the land use, but,
Right. But that's why I mean, I think one of the conditions in there should be, it needs a fence, and I think at least 5 feet. I don't think 4 feet is enough. I might even consider 6 feet, but,
right. Again, typically, we would not recommend a 6-foot fence that close to the front property line.
right,
However, or we could actually, kind of a separate departure, we can leave the fencing up to council, since it is still also discussions with the easement and the, I guess, more or less real estate transaction that's under council's purview.
well, everything's
We
under
can
council's
recommend-
purview anyway.
yeah,
but I think
it's
if
gonna
we're
go to
Make a
council with this.
recommendation on what we're talking about here, conditional use permit, I think we need to put a condition of the conditional use permit that the property is completely fenced. I don't personally have a problem with chain link fencing, even though that's not allowed. I don't know how we
Right.
get around that or make it a barrier, or, I just don't know, but it needs to be fenced.
Because it's a conditional use permit, you guys can establish whatever conditions you see fit. Obviously within reason, but as you see fit relative to the land use of that utility installation, so.
Anybody else respond? It was,
What about the location? Is that a possible visual for the
that's what I was,
people coming out of the driveway?
I don't think so.
from either.
I think it's set back from that corner.
Yeah, like I say, normally, at the hard corner, I would say there is more of a visibility issue. One, we've got a 4-foot solid fence, and we haven't seen any documented issues.
I mean, I pull out of there and I don't even notice it.
Yeah. Two, the width of the right-of-way, from back of curb allows for ample visibility, and it's a signalized light. So I think all
Yeah.
those combined, I don't see a visual issue. 4-foot, 6-foot, either way.
What are the fence options, Drew? Fence material options.
That's up to you guys. If we wanna do chain link, or leave it open to them, and just say it needs to be 6-foot fence for security, and then that, again, let council.
I like the fence that we talked about when we did the parking lot on Clay Street, to match the
Yeah.
concrete fence that was already adjacent to the property. Mr. Chairman, I would definitely agree with you on having it fenced. A minimum, in my mind, is 5 foot. And as far
I
as,
mean, I can live with 5 feet.
I mean, we could always go military and put some Constantino wire at the top, but it's, you know, something relevant to what we have up there right now, to keep with the so to say, architecture of what's already in place would be my recommendation.
What do you think, David?
Yeah, I agree.
Everybody agree that 5 feet's enough?
Minimum.
Certainly a minimum, yeah.
I don't really have any, I mean, I don't know if you wanna just leave it to whatever they wanna do. I mean, I don't really think a wooden fence would really fit there.
Right.
I think it's a pretty big expense to try to do a concrete fence. I would, I guess I would recommend at a minimum a chain link fence 5 feet. That would be my kind of thinking.
Here you also said wrought iron was another option. That would look much better than chain link.
Well, the only
My
thing,
opinion.
and I agree with you, wrought iron, the thing about wrought iron, it's more maintenance and it has to be painted ever so often. And I mean, I like wrought iron, so I got it around my house. But for this use, which is not really, has any aesthetic questions,
And again,
to me, that looks fine for what they're doing
that's
there.
their typical installation, and it actually looks like it's on a concrete footing as well to keep
Yeah.
it well maintained, or more easily maintained.
I mean, that, to me, that's, you know, it's clean, it's efficient.
I know with dealing with HCTC, PEC, BEC, I mean, all those guys, they all have very strict specifications on anything that they do.
Right. And they're gonna wanna protect the equipment too, so.
And their security stuff has gotten a lot higher, so. They're gonna do whatever, you know, whatever's in their spec is probably gonna be above and beyond what we're probably even bringing up.
So this is their equipment here in Ingram? Is that what that is?
I'm not sure of the location,
I
but
think
yes,
that's what it
this
says
is,
here,
yeah, this is their,
Ingram, Texas.
HCTC's main office is in
Okay,
Ingram.
so maybe it's not, maybe it's,
But this is a recent installation. This is what they're showing as the example of their typical equipment, so. That's two separate examples, obviously. One with the fence, one without, so.
well, someone wants to make a motion, what they think we should approve as far as the conditional use permit and the conditions on it?
What was the purpose of the fence for their sake, as far as protecting their stuff, or was it for
I think it's
kids
both.
climbing on it?
I think it's both. I think it's security protection and keeping people out just that might get in trouble.
Yeah, aesthetically, just having them by himself, that looks better. Just like you see in front of houses, you have your little curb boxes with no fences.
Yeah. I think that's a little bit different there. That's in some, I have one in my yard. This is just an area where it's next to a park and,
I'll make a motion.
Honestly, if you're worried about kids, this is their favorite thing to climb, is a chain link fence.
Right.
you know,
So,
it's a, not just kids would be part of it, but I'm also worried about, you know, people just getting in there in general.
I'll make a motion to issue the CUP on it with a fence provision of a minimum 5 foot. And leave it up to council of what kind of fence they want to have, according to code.
Okay with that?
And also include tied to that proposed site plan?
Do we have a motion?
Got a second?
Second, all in favor, raise your hand. Right. Motion passes CUP with those conditions.
Sounds good. And our next meeting is March 2nd, and I will have the chair position.
Yeah, we'll get on the agenda for March, appointment of a chair and a vice chair. Is that it, Drew?
That is it.
Anybody else got anything? Get all your questions answered, Jeffrey?
I did, sir.
All right. Motion to, we'll have a motion to adjourn, or do I just need to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.